Good afternoon. My name is Jason Carlasio. Here talking about conservative politics and mafia history. We have plenty to talk about. The election's 50 days away. Go Trump, Trump 2024. Vote for Trump, the entire Republican ticket. Want to talk again about once again, the attempted assassination on President Donald Trump. Once again, Secret Service didn't do its job, and I call it the unsecretive service. And you know what I find disturbing? Nobody's held accountable. Nobody's fired. Where's Kamala Harris? Where's Joe Biden? Hiding Harris. Why don't they come out and say somebody has to be fired? Somebody has to be held accountable for what they do. You don't hear that. You notice the Trump administration, people were fired. People were held accountable for what they do. I don't see the Biden administration firing anybody, holding people accountable for what they do. I find that very disturbing that nothing's done about this. And this is not how our political process works. Assassinating people. This is a conspiracy, I believe, with the Democrats. They're trying to assassinate him. This is the DC swamp that's part of it. And you know what? Instead of running around trying to prosecute Trump for stupid stuff or people in his administration, Steve Bannon, Peter Navarro, why not why isn't the Secret Service starting doing its job? And you know what? If they say, oh, there's not enough money, Chuck Schumer, the Palestinian supporter, anti-American person that he is, why don't they start putting money towards the Secret Service? You say, oh, there's not enough money. Well, how about that money for climate change? Why not put it in here in the Secret Service budget? Listen, we're running a $5 trillion deficit. I think we could find plenty of money. Instead of spending money on this stupid stuff, spending money to protect a presidential candidate. Because these don't realize, these Democrats, this could happen to them too. So they don't realize this is not America, assassinating people and this lawfare. See, it happened again. It's a conspiracy. And you know what? There's talk out there about ex-military people volunteering to protect Trump. That's why I say ex-military people. If I was Trump, hire private security guys. They're held accountable. That's what has to be done. Maybe get these military guys. Somebody said get the Hells Angels. They'll be a better job. Maybe for that matter, get the Italian mob. They'll do a better job. There's a group out there, Bikers for Trump. Maybe get the Hells Angels, the Owls. Get somebody out there that knows what they're doing. The Secret Service has done a terrible job and a horrible job. And the people at the top have to be held accountable. I mean, the ex-Secret Service director was forced to resign, basically. Did a terrible job before Congress. What about now? The acting director, where's Mayorkas running around, not doing anything? Our great border czar, like Kamala Harris, they can't even protect their border. They're not going to be able to protect the presidential candidate. That's another thing that's a problem too. 10 million illegals come in this country? Nothing's talked about that. And all that debate I saw with Kamala Harris, all she did was beat around the bush. Are you better off 4 years ago? Well, I came from a middle-class family. You didn't answer the question. And she came from middle class. She comes from people with PhDs background, two parents with PhDs. I don't necessarily call that middle-class background. And another thing too, Kamala Harris, once again, she's pushing this, 4-year college degree. Well, I know a lot of people that are successful and they didn't graduate high school. So that's another thing I have to say, because she's from that elitist background. You need a college degree. If you don't have a college degree, you can't make it in life. Yet we're dying for the trades. Mike Rowe's out there saying we need people in the trades. We don't need more people to go to college and take up gender studies or some other garbage stuff. Women's studies. We need people in the trades. But getting back to what I was saying about this country's security, we can't protect our president. We can't protect our border. This administration is incompetent. 100%, 200% incompetent. Where's Joe Biden now? And don't see him hiding Biden. We got hiding Harris. Where is she? They'll make a statement. Oh, we're sorry this happened. No. We want results. You know what? I remember Mark Levin said this. He was chief of staff for Attorney General Meese under the Reagan administration. Something like this here, Reagan would call up Meese and say, listen, I have 48 hours. I want results. I want something done. I want feedback. I want an hour by hour feedback. You're not going to see that in this administration. You're not going to see it at all. The good news, though, is I do see reading polls and, by the way, Gold Crown Politics. Pick up on Gold Crown Politics. That has the best results. These swing states, Trump's ahead and all of them. I always say the Rasmussen poll. Rasmussen polls, Go Crown Politics, the podcast, YouTube podcast, Go Crown Politics, the YouTube podcast. Also, the Rasmussen polls. That's another one too that that's been very accurate. It was accurate last time. Right now, Trump's ahead in all the swing states: Georgia, Arizona, Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Nevada. He's ahead in all those states, and I believe it's very close in Minnesota, Virginia, New Hampshire. Maine splits their votes. He's going to get the second district of Maine, but I think he'll also get the first district too. And I believe also New Mexico is very close, and he has a good chance of winning out. See, what you're starting to see is, remember how, New Jersey, I believe New Jersey's in play. Tomorrow, Trump's in Nassau County, going to be at Uniondale in Nassau Coliseum. Go see him there, not far away from here. Connecticut. Anybody in New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, go see him. Go see Trump there. Come out and support him. So I like to, and that's a good move on Trump because I believe New York and New Jersey are in play. Those are two states people forget about. They're both in play. I believe Trump has a very good chance of winning them. And I'm going to tell you this. If a poll says Trump's down by 5, I believe it's dead even or Trump's ahead by 1 or 2. I believe you got to give it 7 points. If they say, Trump's ahead by 4, only ahead by 4, that means he's ahead by about 11. I say give it about 7 points. That may sound about generous, but that's how I feel. He's outperformed these polls. In New Jersey, I believe he has a good shot at winning. They say it's in single digits. I believe New York State, he's a good shot at winning. You see the turnout in the Bronx. And funny, Kamala here, she has to bus people in. Look, the long lines with Trump there coming in, and people wanting to see him. And also, what about, was it Springfield, Illinois, about all the migrants that are taking over? You're starting to see this problem where these migrants coming in, and we got violent people coming in. They're releasing their jails in places like El Salvador, mental hospitals coming in, releasing mental hospitals, releasing jails, people coming into the country. That's pretty scary. No border security whatsoever. And people say, well, how are you going to deport 10 million people? Well, there's a lot of ways. Start with the local police, the state police, the FBI, the National Guard, use the military, use the U.S. Marshals, use whoever we have to deport these people. Use all law enforcement resources, use our military resources to deport these people. And I love these wacky liberals say, well, you people, you're a product of Italian descent, you're immigrants. Listen, my grandfather on my mother's side, when he came here, he had to live with his uncle. He didn't have a place to live. All my others, great grandparents, they came here. They had to live with relatives, things of that sort. And you know what? They weren't getting free things. They weren't getting free health care, free this, free that. They weren't getting all these things that these illegals are getting. And they're crowding, taking up our hospitals, our jails. If they got kids, taking up our schools. They didn't get things handed to them for free. Look, all these free things that these illegals, free cell phones, you name it, they're having. And that's crazy. And that's making a mockery of our system. If we don't have borders, we don't have a country. And what does it say, too, about the people who come here legally? And the people who come to this country legally don't like the illegal immigration. They did it legally. Why should these people be allowed to come here illegally? And where's the Department of Injustice? Instead of running around going after Trump or this one or that one, Steve Bannon, whoever, why don't they start going after these illegals here? And you know what? I'm not surprised what happened with Trump because it is a conspiracy. And if they can't protect the presidential candidate, how are they going to protect their border? I mean, there you go. And it's obvious. And you know what? I say mass deportation. That's the answer. And listen, there's a way of coming in this country. There's a process. There's the rule of law, something the Democrats don't want. And ask Lincoln Riley. Look at her parents. How many people out there have been killed by illegals? And they say they're politicizing it. No, it's the truth. Because more people out there could be victims. Look, the women that have been killed by these illegals. Nobody talks about that. All the Democrats could say you're politicizing it. No, you're telling the truth. And these were the same people, too, by the way, that were up in arms about George Floyd, which you find out George Floyd was no choir boy, but they were up in arms about that. But they say nothing about all these illegals coming in the country and things of that sort. And, about these that are killing people, I guess they say, well, statistics show it's only a few people. I don't care if it's one person. One person is one too many. And ask the families about that. Talk to the families of Lincoln Riley and all these people, the illegals. Oh, it's not going to happen to me. You get these liberal elitists. That's all she is, by the way. Kamala Harris, liberal elitist until something happens to them. But Kamala Harris is just one of these liberal elitists. It's not like even Joe Biden, he's bad. Kamala Harris is worse. Joe Biden, you could say, well, he could socialize with the union worker. He's Joe from Scranton, but this is Kamala from San Francisco, one of the most far left places in the country. She's far left, and this is a center right country. And, in that debate, she did a terrible job. People asked, are you better off than you were 4 years ago, when she was asked that question? And she didn't answer. Oh, I'm from a middle class background and this and that, which isn't even true. She doesn't answer the question, doesn't answer about all these illegals coming to the country. Well, I'm going to do this and that. Well, you're in there now. Why don't you do something to shut down the border? You should do that right now. Go to Washington, go to Joe Biden, get him out of bed, like Trump said, and let's start enforcing the law. Put executive order, put the military on the border, start deporting the illegals. She's done nothing. What has she done as president? We're worse off than we were 4 years ago. And if she wins, I don't know if this country could recover. And one important thing is, I want to see Republicans make gains in the House, regain the Senate, which I think is going to happen because I think Trump's going to win. And I also see that hopefully Republicans get governorships and make gains in the state legislatures, the House, the Senate. Definitely like to see that. Republicans pick up some state legislatures, maybe make gains in the House and the Senate in different states, including Connecticut, New York, New Jersey. I think he's going to do better up here in the Northeast than realize. I think Trump's got a chance of winning Connecticut. People will say I'm funny. But here's another thing, too. The Democrats cannot count on the cities anymore because Trump's doing over 20% with the black vote, the African-American vote. He's almost at 50% with the Hispanic vote. And Trump gets those numbers, he wins. Kamala Harris cannot win with those numbers. She can't win with only 50% of the Hispanic vote. She can't win with only 80% of the black vote, which I think Trump's going to do better. I think he's going to get close to 25% of the black vote. Actually, I think he's going to hit at least 50% with the Hispanic vote, maybe more. I think he's going to outperform. He's going to do better than people realize. All the polls had it wrong in 2016. Nobody talks. The polls are actually wrong in 2020 because they were saying, oh, Biden's going to win big. Well, he didn't win big. I mean, Wisconsin, they said he's going to win by 8 points. He won by, a half a point? And there were questions about that, too. But Trump's going to win the swing states. See, here's the thing. You got to make it too big to rig. So you want to try to win some of these states like a Minnesota, a Virginia, a New Hampshire, win the whole state of Maine, win New Mexico, places like there. And the people of Minnesota don't like the governor, Tim Walz. He's done a terrible job. And his wife going, turn the page, turn the page. No, let's turn the page on the Democrats. Turn the page on the wackos in the White House. Turn the page on the Biden, the worst president this country ever had. Turn the page on Kamala Harris. And let's start getting the conservatives in the White House, get more Republicans in the House, take back the Senate. Let's start making gains. In my district here, Joanna Hayes, George Logan's running in. George Logan almost beat her last time. I predict this time he's going to win. See, here Kellyanne Conway said it right. The Republicans have to finish the sentence, too. They have to say, not only just the failures of the Biden administration, but they have to say what their accomplishments are, what they're going to do. That's what they have to talk about. But George Logan, great guy. I met him, love him. I think he's going to win. I think the Republicans are going to get a congressman in the 5th district. And I think in some other places in Connecticut, they have a good chance of winning. But I definitely think that that George Logan is going to beat Joanna Hayes, who's just a far left liberal. I don't know what she's ever accomplished. And, she's bragging in a film that her husband was retired law enforcement, retired Waterbury police, whatever. But how could you be a Democrat and be a cop? That I don't understand. And here's somebody that actually, contrary to what she says, is soft on crime, wants to fund the police. Nothing about immigration. Why should she talk about all these illegals here? How about the economy, how inflation? It's not these big bad corporations. It's the printing of money. The government is printing too much money. And with Trump, we were energy independent. Now we're energy dependent. That's why Iran was going broke, because we weren't buying oil from overseas. We were energy independent with Trump. Oil was the price of gas. I saw it, remember, it down like $1.49. Right now it's around up around Connecticut 2.99, but that's still too high. I remember as low as $1.49. I remember as low as a $1.10 during COVID. Well, nobody's going out, but that's what it was. I mean, it really dropped substantially. We were energy independent. Now we're not energy dependent. Look how much the electric bill is going up. Look at your insurance. Everything is going up under the Biden administration. Prices were actually decreasing. The stock market was doing well. I mean, good. I think the only reason why the stock market's doing well now because they know Trump's going to win. They know Republicans are going to make gains in the House. They're going to take the Senate. Thank God the Republicans do have the Supreme Court thanks to Trump and his conservative rulings on abortion, sending it back to the states, conservatives ruling on guns. That's another thing. Kamala Harris wants full gun confiscation. That's scary. A mandatory buyback program, taking away guns from the honest people, which does nothing to stop the criminals. Again, read the book with John Lott, More Guns, Less Crime. But she wants full gun confiscation. Now she's trying to say, oh, I'm not this far left liberal. If she wins, this country would be a disaster. You know what? She's just saying anything to get elected. Even Bernie Sanders came out and said it. She's saying anything to get elected, whatever it takes. No tax on tips. Trump said no tax on tips. She's copying that. Now I know. I love what Trump said. No tax on overtime. That's big. That's huge. We pay too much in taxes now. We definitely need tax cuts, and we need to go back to the prosperity of the Trump administration. Crime was down. Prices were affordable. Country was affordable. You didn't have to worry about, choosing between medicine and food on the table. Look, the credit card debt that people have, people in debt. And another thing, too, home prices are high because inventory is low. That's because inflation is part of that. But also, right now, interest rates were 2-3%. Interest rates have gone up from 7%. So why does somebody want to sell their house and pay more when they take out another mortgage? So instead of paying 3% now, they're going to pay at least 7% with another mortgage. There's the reason why people don't want to sell their house, which makes the inventory very low. And that's why prices are so high. And all here's wants to do $25,000 towards buying a house. That's going to increase the price. The price of the home is going to go from your price of your home. If you have a $400,000 home, now you can sell for $425,000. If somebody has a paid off house, that's great. They got to love that. All that's going to do is increase prices. How about she wants to take health insurance away from 170 million American people have health insurance and happy private insurance. She wants to take that away. And then she's trying to say that, insurance companies aren't covering. They cover. My insurance cover. Everybody I know hasn't had a problem with their insurance companies. Their insurance has covered them. So why don't they, so taking this away, she wants socialized medicine, what they have in Cuba, Canada, Venezuela, up in Europe, China. And, there's talk over, like I said before, in Canada, over 70, it's near impossible to get a heart transplant, 2 years for a hip replacement, a year for shoulder surgery. Right now, you don't have to wait that long. You need surgery, you have it. If you whatever, and you know what? We have the greatest healthcare system in the world. That's a fact. And the crisis here is when they talk about medicine. So people have access to healthcare. It's because people, I hate to say it, but there's a large percentage of the population, people don't take care of themselves. That's why they have all these health problems. It's just people just flat out don't take care of themselves. It's not because they don't have access to healthcare. And then people that go to the doctor makes recommendations and they don't follow through on it. So whose fault's that? And what about personal responsibility? That should be talked about. And another thing with Kamala Harris, how about all these the drugs coming in the country, fentanyl? Not talking about that. How many Americans have lost their lives? That's not being talked about. But I also find this very disturbing that with just Trump, the Secret Service is unable to protect them. I think you should get private security, maybe call them the Hells Angels, the Outlaws, the Italian Mob, whoever. You get ex-military vets to protect them. The Secret Service just seems like they can't do a job. And I believe this is a conspiracy because they can't beat them any other way. So now they're trying to kill them. That's what it is. And I can't wait till Trump gets in, fire these people. I don't see Biden holding anybody accountable like Mayorkas. What a terrible job he's done. He's a fraud. He needs to go. What about our border? Nobody wants to answer that question. You ask him, he just beats around the bush. Kamala Harris did a terrible job in that debate. And by the way, it was 3-on-1. Trump was debating 3 people. So it was 3-on-1. They were fact checking him, didn't fact check Kamala Harris. And that debate was a fraud. I'd like to see it on Fox News next if they do. But that's not right. You know, ABC, CBS, NBC, those stations are just run by communists, run by socialists. They're far left. I call it the government media complex. That's all it is. And the media has just become an arm of the government. You know, thank God we have outlets here for podcasts, Fox News, talk radio, Newsmax, places like there. Thank God we have outlets for that. Because if you count on CBS, NBC, and ABC, we'd be in big trouble. And that's what Republicans are up against. You got these far left loons in the liberal media, Lester Holt. Now they're trying to blame Trump for the assassination. Oh, the rhetoric, something about saying about Haitians in Springfield. How does that tie into him being assassinated? I just don't understand that. Once again, blaming somebody else, typical liberal, blaming somebody else, not holding people accountable for what they do, not holding this individual accountable. And I believe that you're going to find out he's tied in with the Democrats. Same thing with the other shooter in Butler, Pennsylvania. You know, Trump shouldn't have to go out and be in fear. He shouldn't have to campaign in fear. Um, and the response from Kamala Harris, Joe Biden was absolutely terrible. Um, and it's just a typical administration. They don't solve any problems. And nothing gets solved. It's continue. Sometimes I think they want these problems to continue so they have a reason to stay in power. It's like Democrats don't want people to get off of welfare. They don't want people to be less dependent on the government. They want people to be more dependent on the government. So this way they always have a cause. Same thing with the bureaucrats in Washington. They want more people to be dependent on the government. So this way here they have a reason to exist. And what I say with these bureaucrats, they should be fired. Go get a job in the private sector. There you go. Say, well, what is bureaucrat? Let them go get a job in the private sector like everybody else. We have a need for government. Yes, there are certain employees we do need, but our government is way bloated too much. And with a lot of these politicians and bureaucrats, they just want to keep people down. That's all it is. And for anybody who wants socialized medicine, think about dealing with the Department of Motor Vehicles. That's what you're going to be dealing with. I mean, if you call a place like now, you're going to get through. You get customer service. Online, you have access. Wait, it's like dealing with the DMV. That's what our healthcare system is going to be. And right now, look at the trouble that Social Security's in, Medicare, Medicaid, they're underfunded. And so if they can't even handle that, the government, Medicare and Medicaid, Social Security, how are they going to handle socialized medicine? And then she wants all these illegals that come in this country to be covered. People here that aren't taxpayers, so people that work hard, pay taxes, they have to pay people, subsidize people that are not paying taxes. You know, what about at least trying to help people in this country? You don't hear them talk about that. And a lot of the blacks and Hispanics, they're not happy with these illegals. They don't like it here. It affects their community very negatively. And that's what I'm saying with the Democrats. They cannot count on the cities. They can't count on the blacks, the Hispanics. With Trump getting 20% of the black vote, close to 50% of the Hispanic vote, he wins. And Harris cannot win with those numbers. She can't win with only 50% of the Hispanic vote. She can't win with only getting 20% of the black vote. Um, so she can't rely on the cities. This is why I'm saying a lot of these cities, a lot of these states like New York, New Jersey are in play, Connecticut, because she can't count on the urban areas to put her over the top. This is what they count on the cities. The suburban vote comes in, they wait for the urban vote come in. Oh, that'll put us over the top. I don't think she has that now. She can't count on even Detroit in Michigan. She can't count on Wisconsin. You know, I mean Milwaukee and Wisconsin. She can't count on Detroit, Michigan, and she can't count on Philadelphia and Pittsburgh. Now, so she is running scared. There's no doubt about it. And listen, if Trump's down in the poll by, they say he's down by 5. As far as I'm concerned, he's ahead by 2. I mean, the polls were terrible last time, the state polls, and estimating him. And I believe Trump's going to overperform better than expected. Overperform. And you got to think this way. Remember, for years, the Republicans couldn't win Pennsylvania was fool's gold. Now, he's won Pennsylvania in 2016. Pennsylvania's in play. For years, oh, the Republicans can't win Pennsylvania. Well, it's in play now. And then states that used to be swing states like Ohio now are solidly Republican. Florida's solid Republican. Florida, Ohio are solidly Republican. He's brought North Carolina back to being likely Republican. I won't say solid, but likely Republican. So he's brought a lot of states in play. And Texas, for years, the Democrats said, oh, we're going to turn Texas blue. It's going to turn purple. We're going to make it blue. Well, that hasn't happened. And right now, Trump's ahead, is doing better in Texas than he did last time. And Ted Cruz, I predict that he's going to win that Senate seat. But for all these Democrats that are dreamed, we're going to get Texas. No, that's obviously not going to happen. And look at Nevada. Nevada was a state for years. Republicans were having some trouble. Nevada now looks like he's going to win that state. What happened last time is, this early voting stuff. I believe that should go away where you do, but right now, these are the rules that Republicans have to play. I believe you should have 1 day voting, pen and paper, like Trump says, 1 day voting, pen and paper. That's how you stop all this corruption with this early voting and stuff like that. Uh, that early voting, it should go away. That's the Democrats' way of cheating because they can't beat people legitimately. So let's cheat. And we got to watch in these states with all the illegals, like Trump says, we got to make it too big to rig. That's what it is. Too big to rig. And JP Vance, has been an excellent choice for him. He's done an excellent job. I want to see the vice presidential debate. But JP Vance has done a phenomenal job. It was an excellent choice by him. And this Tim Walz that she took is just just as far left as her, and is not suitable to the American people. The people in Minnesota do not like Tim Walz. Look what happened in 2020 with the riots, how he failed to respond there to the riots. And the cities were burning to the ground. Wouldn't call the police, wouldn't call the National Guard. There you go. And and with a lot of these, Tim Walz crime has gone up substantially in Minnesota. But another big thing to think about too is this fracking. She is, again, contrary to says Kamala Harris, is very anti-fracking. So she wants to make us energy dependent on other countries instead of energy independent. The Keystone Pipeline, by that being shut down, 48,000 people lost their job. 48,000 union workers lost their jobs. And what you're seeing is these union bosses that are endorsing Harris, they're not listening to their membership. Most of your union members, especially the blue collar people, they want Trump. Most of the UAW members want Trump. Most of the ones, the construction workers, they want Trump. Now, their union bosses and stuff, you can't go by their union bosses because they're just a bunch of elitists that, they live in their $2 million home. They make $500,000 a year, live in their $2 million homes. They're not struggling. They're not worried about putting food on the table for their families, these union bosses. They're, like I've said previously, they're a big joke. And these unions being nonprofit, a lot of them should be audited. Nonprofit, while there's union boss every store, he's getting a Cadillac every 2 years, getting expense accounts. Oh, retired union bosses getting Cadillacs every 2 years. So that should be talked about. And these union bosses do not care about their members. They're just selling their members down the drain. That's all they are. And these the bosses like the UAW endorsing here, but that's not how most of the members of the UAW feel. Most of the UAW members are voting for Trump. Most of your construction workers are voting for Trump. This is why they like Trump. They can socialize with him. Trump's worked with these people. He's not an elitist at some college, some Ivy League tower, some elitist with a PhD teaching some anti-American garbage. This is somebody that's been in the trenches, Donald Trump. Look at his business. Very successful. Every business he had has been successful. Of course, he had some business that went bankrupt, but that's part of business. Some make it, some don't. But how many people has Trump employed? His company has a good reputation, people working for it. He offers excellent benefits, excellent benefit package. Yeah, and he fires people. Well, that's a good thing. Any successful people, you're going to have to fire people, like in his administration, firing people. But people like Trump because they feel he's part of the blue collar people. Blue collar people could have socialized with him, even some white collar people too. But a lot of, construction workers, miners, truck drivers, people like that could socialize with them. Tradespeople, they could socialize with them. And I think when you see like a Liz Cheney, a Dick Cheney endorsing Harris, well, that's because they're elitists. They're another ones. I put them in the category of coastal elitists. And they obviously feel they have more in common with a Harris than they have with your average steel worker. That's what it is. These are elitist people. You know what? Why don't they just become Democrats and get it over with? And they were the problem with the Republican Party. You had these moderate wishy-washies that won't stand up to the liberals, won't stand up to the Democrats. That's why Trump's so popular with the American people. He's finally standing up for the American people. He wants to drain the swamp. And this time, he's going to drain the swamp even more. And I think they're paranoid. They're panicking, the Democrats, because Trump's going to go after all of them. He knows he's coming for them too. And and by the way, too, that's another problem. These liberal DAs got to go too. And these, like an Ivan Bragg, um, he's done a terrible job as a DA there. Why doesn't he go after violent crime instead of chasing after Trump? These George Soros funded DAs. George Soros is just a communist, a socialist. He's a dictator. He's a threat to democracy, for that matter. Just George Soros. He's a billionaire. He's trying to buy his way in. They talk about the Koch brothers and stuff, which I like the Koch brothers, by the way. They're libertarian. One of them passed away. They always support the Libertarian Party, which for years I've agreed with their ideas. Myself, I was frustrated with the Republican Party until Donald Trump decided to run, because I was tired of these not all, but Democrats, these Republicans selling out the Democrats. The best Speaker of the House was Newt Gingrich we ever had. They forced him out because they didn't like him at the time. They said, oh, he was a big mouth, but he got results. And the reason why the economy was good in the 90s, not because of Clinton, because here's what it is, because Bill Clinton didn't do anything. He didn't do anything to harm it. He had the carryover from Ronald Reagan, but he had a Republican Congress to work with that cut taxes, cut the capital gains tax, made other tax cuts. That's why the economy was booming in the 90s. And then George W. Bush, I'm not saying I agreed with everything, but he cut taxes in the early 2000s. That's why the economy was good. Because we had Republican Congress, House and the Senate. There were some, I say, conservative Republicans that pushed to cut taxes, deregulation, things like that. That's another thing Donald Trump did. He cut taxes, largest tax cuts ever, deregulation, and the economy was the best it ever was in the U.S. He did what Ronald Reagan did, even better. And I love Ronald Reagan. Now, Ronald Reagan didn't have a history of being an entrepreneur. Donald Trump, on the other hand, was an entrepreneur too. And I think you got that. I think you got Reagan, that you got Donald Trump. He takes Reagan, and plus the fact that he's an entrepreneur probably makes him one of the greatest presidents this country's ever seen. The world was safe. We didn't have all these wars going on in Ukraine, the Middle East, things like that. And how many lives have been lost because of the Biden administration in this country, out of the country? 13 people in Afghanistan were killed. You don't hear anything said about that. Just beat around the bush on that one. She doesn't want to answer this. Harris, you have a plan. You have a plan. Put the plan out now. When was day one? Day one for was 1,400 days ago, over 1,400 days ago. Why don't you put your plan forward too now? But what her plan is socialism. Price controls, which is going to result in a massive shortage in this country. Price controls. You go to the supermarket, you can't get what you want. Price controls have failed in Venezuela, have failed in the Soviet Union, it failed in the 1970s. So she's just, her background is totally socialist, Marxist. She's a San Francisco liberal. We see the disaster that San Francisco and California is. And I think Trump had a good point. If he ran for governor of California, he'd win. If he ran for governor of Connecticut, New York, New Jersey, he'd win. But Connecticut, New York, New Jersey are not as bad as California. California is far left, very wacky liberal. You see the mess that California is in. And I feel bad for the conservative people, the good people out there. They need to make a wholesale change. And what's his name? Gabby Newsom. He's been a failure out there as governor, as far as I'm concerned. People are leaving California. They're going to Texas. They're going to Florida. States like that. Even in this state, I'm not a fan of Ned Lamont. But at least he cut taxes and did some deregulation. He tried to make Connecticut more business friendly. The state has budget surplus, which means we're overtaxed, but at least I think Ned Lamont, I'm not a fan of him at all, but somewhat, he gets it somewhat about cutting taxes and deregulation and trying to do about calming down the state bureaucracy. So he gets it somewhat, Ned Lamont. I'm not a fan of him. I'm not going to vote for him. I'm a dire Republican, dire conservative, I should say. But at least he gets it somewhat about cutting taxes and deregulation, things like that. And the governor of New Jersey, Phil Murphy, who I heard, because they were desperate, was talking about running for president. He almost got beat last time. And next year is the governor's race in New Jersey. I like to see a Republican get in there. But my question is, Democrats don't have a strong bench. They know deep down inside Nancy Pelosi that Kamala Harris isn't up to the task. They have nobody else. And this is just their own fault. They want to listen to the radical left wing of their party. This is what they get, the Hamas wing, the radical left. And they're also losing a lot of Jewish voters. Trump's doing very well with Jewish voters. I ran some polls, over 50% with Jewish voters, because a lot of Jewish voters, they're disgusted with them being attacked for no reason, going after Israel for no reason. When Israel is a strong ally of the United States, it's a successful country, and I feel bad for Jewish people that they're being attacked on campus by these wacky liberals over there, and it's pretty sad that what's happening with the Jewish people there. I believe there's somebody. What is it? Some of these radical left believe the Holocaust never occurred. And these Hamas wing of the party and these radical lefts, they hate Christianity and they hate Jews, and that's not right. And the Jewish people, many good people, hard workers, like a lot of the blacks, Hispanic, good people, hard workers, they're coming around. They're becoming Republicans because they realize the fraud that Democrats are. And the Pope too, I have to talk about. Bothers me what he recently say, Pope Francis, about, yes, I agree with his stance. I am pro-life, but he doesn't like Harris because she's pro-choice, pro-abortion, which I agree. I'm pro-life too, and Donald Trump's pro-life, but he doesn't like Trump because he wants to deport all these illegals. Well, geez, could you walk right into the Vatican now? Do you see any of these illegals at the Vatican? This Pope, to me, he's a socialist. He's far left, and I'm a Catholic, but I don't like what this Pope stands for. Capitalism has lifted more people out of poverty than any other economic system. This Pope's a socialist, and typically the Catholic Church has been against socialism and against communism, like John Paul II that worked with Reagan to defeat communism. But he wants all these illegals in these countries. Well, why don't we? You see any of these illegals at the Vatican? And also, what I don't like is stance on guns. He's very anti-gun, this Pope. Well, I know the Pope has people with guns protecting him, and I just don't understand it. And I'm not anti-Catholic. I'm pro-Catholic. I'm Catholic myself, but I don't like his stance on immigration. Abortion, I agree. I'm pro-life. Trump's pro-life. Agree. He's right about Harris being pro-abortion, but he's wrong about immigration. All these illegals here. Yeah, he doesn't have to live like him, like we have to do, and worry about coming out your house, going out for a walk, and getting murdered, getting assaulted, women getting killed. Why didn't you say something about all these illegals here? Say that they don't belong here. They should be deported. Because you know why? He wants to build up numbers in the church. It's people power. He wants all these people come in, they become Catholic. Well, he doesn't live here in the U.S. He doesn't have to deal with these illegals every day. Like I said, they're not at the Vatican door. You can't just walk in the Vatican without permission. He's a far left. He's very socialist, the Pope. And that just disappoints me that he takes this stance. And it disappoints me that he's trying to make the church pro-immigrant or pro-illegal immigration, making the church anti-gun. Again, guns are used to protect the Vatican. We should have the same right to protection too. But moving on to that, and we're within 50 days from the election. You got to have Trump go out there and vote. Make it too big to rig. Vote Trump, all the Republicans, give him a House, give him a Senate, have the Supreme Court. We need Trump 2024, Trump Vance 2024. Pedal to the metal. Don't let up. Tell your friends, tell your family, get people out to vote. And we need to make this too big to rig. And I'd like to see Trump, like I said, pick off some other states too. Just think about how good this country was when Trump is the best it ever was. And they're trying to Biden administration, Harris, to destroy this country too. They're just these liberal elites. Like they say, the Republicans are a party for the rich. Yeah, they're being supported by billionaires, many wealthy people. Yeah, there are some billionaires in the Republican Party, and I'm glad they are. And these are billionaires that have worked hard, developed businesses. But you also in the Democratic Party have what I call, you do have some success. I don't understand how you could be a billionaire and be for Democrats, and Democrats want to take your business away. They want to increase taxes, increase regulation, destroy your business. I don't understand that at all. But these a lot of these people are trust fund babies in the Democratic Party too, who've never had to work, had everything handed to them. They are full of trust fund babies. And anybody that's buying this, free college, free health insurance, nothing's free. Somebody has to pay for it. Remember, a free a college degree, you make college free, a college degree becomes worthless. And what about all the tradespeople? And I've always said this, somebody that's in the trades, a truck driver, electrician, painter, carpenter, plumber, mason, whoever, HVAC guy, they have to pay for people to bail out people that took out a degree in gender studies or women's studies, or how about even degrees in nursing? We need people, nurses, people in the medical field. Somebody took up a nursing degree has to bail out somebody that took up a degree in gender studies. Doesn't make any sense. Um, but and then this idea, oh, you need a 4-year college. That's not true. Plenty of jobs don't require a 4-year college degree. That just Kamala Harris. It's just another 4 years of liberal indoctrination. That's all these colleges are. Havens for liberal indoctrination. What I like this idea of online courses. You save a lot of money with online courses, and 90% of the courses are going to be taught online. And I like where you see University of Phoenix, you're starting to see colleges push that more. Instead of having all these bureaucracy, these campuses, how about with the cost of college professors making over 200,000 a year? President, university presidents making 700,000, 800,000 a year, $1 million a year. They talk about CEO. Well, if it's a private company, it's nobody's business. It's nobody's business what the Walmart CEO makes. It's a for-profit company, and you don't have to shop there. But these colleges, some of them are state funded, some of them are not. Some of them are getting financial aid from the government. They're paying all these administrators this kind of money. They don't say anything about that. They're nonprofit, these colleges, and they're making all this kind of money. The liberals don't talk about that with these liberal professors, what they make, and these colleges, paying their university president $1 million a year. Some cases, like I said, state subsidized, but even like Yale and stuff, they're getting financial aid from the government, things like that. Want to make college free, but these are the same people against on the secondary waiver. School vouchers, school choice, which I'm all in favor of. We need school vouchers, we need school choice. But these universities, somebody should say about these liberals what they make. I don't care what the CEO of Walmart make. You don't like, just don't shop there. You don't like what this one make, that's fine. And when they're blaming the price of gas and stuff, what's the profit margin, by the way, on Exxon? Less than 10%. So that's not the problem. The problem is that we're so energy dependent. With Trump, look what the price of gas cost then. Look how much it came out because we were energy independent. The Keystone Pipeline, shutting that down was a huge mistake. Allow fracking. They're going to outlaw fracking. Electric cars, they don't exist. They're not suitable at this point. Electric cars are not suitable at this point. People don't want them. Solar are not suitable. Listen, there's a guy that a trucking business right now with diesel fuel. You go from New York to LA without stopping if you didn't want to. Electric car, you have to stop several. With electric truck, you have to stop several times. Making our military electric, we're at a huge disadvantage when it comes to China and anybody else. Electric cars, how many times are you going to have to stop to charge your car up? Most people I have them don't like. At this point, they're not suitable. And, maybe down the road, but at this point, those vehicles are not suitable. You want an electric car, fine, but don't force it on anybody else. But that being said, I have to go. I have to wrap it up. Vote Trump 2024. Trump Vance 2024. Pedal to the metal. Trump Vance 2020. Trump Vance 2020, 2024. And vote for Republicans all the way. Have a nice day. We'll be in touch. I'll be back.